Hello everyone, in this video we'll be talking about the advanced feedback suppression feature built into the DBX Driverack PA2. Now in my opinion, the advanced feedback suppression or AFS is one of the most interesting features that comes with the DBX Driverack PA2. As a matter of fact, it's one feature that you don't easily find in mixing consoles and loudspeaker. What I mean is other features of the DBX Driverack PA2 in terms of speaker management, so the crossover, the graphic EQ, the compressors and a few other things, you can most times do them with some mixing consoles. You even have some speaker processing built into loudspeakers like crossovers and the rest. But AFS, feedback suppression, is not easily built into consoles or loudspeakers, and it's really good if you have something like this that you can use. You can buy feedback suppressors as standalone units. DBX has one, but especially DBX feedback suppressor, it's not very different in terms of price. The price difference is not very much with this, and you get the feedback suppression built into the Driverack PA2 as well as other speaker management features. So I think it's a really compelling reason for why you should get DBX Driverack PA2, the feedback suppression. Now, what is advanced feedback suppression as defined by DBX in this context? It's simply a feature that detects feedback and is able to cut the feedback just before it becomes a problem. So this is really useful if you're in a small venue with lots of reverberating space, lots of walls that bounce sound around, and you're struggling with feedback issues. Getting something like this between your mixing console and your loudspeaker will help you a lot to be able to curb the feedback. Now, it does the feedback suppression using 12 notch filters. Notch filters are like EQ filters with very narrow bandwidth, and it's able to detect the feedback and uses the notch filter, targets this specific frequency and cuts the frequency that's causing the feedback. And why this is really good is that compared to, say, a 31 band graphic EQ, is because the notch filter is very narrow, and so you can target this particular frequency that's causing feedback, cut to that frequency without really affecting the quality or the tonal quality of the overall sound. With a graphic EQ, for example, if you cut certain frequencies, you might also affect adjacent frequencies and then affect the tone of the sound. But this is really good, and because it's automatic, does that automatically, you don't have to look for feedback and do it before you start your show. It detects the feedback as it comes and takes care of that. Now, like I said, it has 12 notch filters with which it does the feedback suppression, and you can configure the 12 filters to be either fixed or live filters, or you can select how many of the 12 are fixed filters and how many of the 12 are live filters. Fixed filters simply means maybe when you are setting up the feedback suppression, you select a few of your fundamental feedback frequencies and then cut them, and then the filters remembers this frequency and just keep them cut. And the live filters, basically there's a feature called lift where it cuts feedback, remembers it for a short period of time which you have set, and then forgets about that frequency, and it's open to catch any other feedback frequency. That's how the live filters work. So you can select how many of the 12 are live and how many of the 12 are fixed. We'll get into it in a moment. So I have a setup here with which to show how the feedback works. So I've got a microphone with which I will induce feedback with this loudspeaker, and just to check that sound is coming out, if I increase this fader, check 1, 2, you can see that I've got input level, nothing's coming out from the speaker because the output is muted. I've got my output coming out from the high output of this. So if I unmute this, check 1, 2, so we can just about hear slight feedback, and we want to do like our feedback demonstration. We'll get into that in a bit. So let's jump into how you configure this up. Now, there are two ways to set this up with the DBX Driverack PA2, the advanced feedback suppression. One is through the wizard, similar to when you were doing setup, and that basically works for if you're setting your system up, the DBX Driverack PA2, and then you want to like just use the wizard to set up the advanced feedback suppression. It gives you a step-by-step method to follow on how you set everything up. That's really good. But then the other method is using this button here, or in the app, just to hit, probably just screen record. Give me a moment. Yes, connect. And so with the app, you hit the advanced feedback suppression here button here. It's grayed out because it's not currently on, switched on. And then you manually go and just quickly set it up. So I'm going to go through both methods on how you set it up, and we'll see how it gets on. Now let's start with doing it through the wizard. So if you hit this wizard button here, or the wizard on the app, they both do the same thing. So if I hit this wizard here, or the wizard in the app, you get the wizard menu, similar to what we did when we're in our first video, when we're setting trying to run the setup wizard. And so there is the fourth option here, is to run AFS wizard, which is what we're going to select. So if I select run AFS wizard, it says gives you the first instruction for you to perform sound check and set up a rough mix for all mics. Now with using the advanced feedback suppression, what you want to do is to make sure you've done a proper set up your entire system, done a proper sound check, and everything is all set, and you want to switch on all your mics, put all the microphones where you want them to be. So drum microphones are all set, run proper gain setting, done proper sound check for them. All the vocal microphones have to be on stage, and they have to be open. By open, I mean they have to be switched on. Everything, the speakers have to be on, mic has to be on, everything has to be all good to go. And place them where they're supposed to be used. So if you have all your singers around, you can have them hold their microphones on stage how they want to hold it. So you have like the way it's going to be during performance. If your microphone is going to be on a microphone stand, even better for you. Just put them on the stands, open up everything, and we hit next to continue. So if I press select, it says bypass any active noise gates. Yes, that's really good, because if you have noise gates on any of your microphones, vocal or drums or any other mic, you want to take them out because you want your mic to be very open so you can deal with the feedback. And if you handle feedback when all your mics are open, when you add noise gates later, it's even going to be an extra or added advantage to you. So I'm going to hit next and fully lower all your mixer outputs. I'm going to do that here and lower all of my mixer outputs, and hit next, or you hit the select the knob, and then use default number of 6 filters. I talked about the 12 notch filters, how you can configure them as fixed or live. By default, 6 of the 12 are fixed filters, and then the other 6 are live filters. So it's asking if you want to use the default number of 6 filters. You can just say yes and continue. I'd like to keep it like this: 6 fixed, 6 live, always works. And if you select no, then it probably asks you to select the number of filters you want as your fixed. So let's still select the 6 we want. Now this is all good. This part, you have to select your filter width or filter type. Like I said, the notch filter is pretty narrow, but you have the option of selecting a wider filter width, or even a narrower filter width. And the widest one says speech, and there's one in the middle says music or speech, and music is the narrowest, because if you're running a music show, you don't want to, while dealing with feedback, cut more frequency that will affect the tonal balance of your entire sound or output. So you want a very narrow filter. So let's just do music, yes, because we can, and hit next. And so what you want to do is to slowly raise your mixer output and attempt to catch feedback. The first 6 feedback frequencies it catches, it saves them as your fixed frequency, because these are like your fundamental feedback frequency. Anyone other than that 6, those 6 rather, become your live, get handled by your live filters. So I want to do that now. I want to generate feedback by putting this microphone here and slowly raise my master fader, and we'll observe how the our fixed filter slowly catches the feedback. So if I slowly increase this, oh yeah, because I wasted a little bit of time, it's are you done setting your fixed filters? Not really. So I'll go to no, and I'll attempt to raise this up while hoping for feedback. Oh, sorry, I got my outputs muted here. I'll mute this and do that again. Catches the first frequency, catches a few more. Yeah. Now the fixed filters have been set and lower mixer outputs to performance level. I'll bring it back down and hit next. Now AFS live filters are now active. Now if you see, especially using the iPad, the app here in the iPad or in the smartphone, you're able to see what frequencies they are that has been selected, has been suppressed feedback, and then you can see by how many dB those frequencies are being caught, which is very nice thing. If I hit next here, the wizard is complete. For the live filters, when the show is going on, you can easily, the feature catches those feedbacks when they occur, the live ones. The fixed filters have already been set and they fixed for the entirety of the show. The good thing about the live filters are maybe the singer is holding this microphone, moving around, and maybe gets close to his speaker and say gets close to the subwoofer and then picks a low frequency feedback. The live filter catches that and cuts that particular frequency, and after a while it releases it and becomes open to receive another feedback. And then if the singer, for example, goes close to a high frequency speaker and gets a high frequency feedback, that same filter is able to catch the high frequency feedback. So that's how to set AFS using the setup. Now, having done that, let's go to home and I'll go back here. If you want to do some more things, I'll configure a few more things, especially with the live filter. You can hit this AFS icon here, or you can touch the advanced feedback suppression here here in the app. As you can see, it's white now, it's no longer grayed out because we've used the wizard to set it up. You can hit this, and as you can see, our fixed filters that were set from the wizard are already here. They've been set. Now, to work with our live filters, one settings I'm quite interested in is live lift. What live lift means is once your live filter catches a feedback, do you want it to lift or to stop looking at that frequency after a particular time or after a set time? And I usually like to set this to on, or you hit the live lift button here in the mobile app. What this simply does is, depending on the time you've set, there's a lift after. It's currently on 5 seconds. You can set it up to 60 minutes, which is 1 hour. Say I want to set this, for example, to 30 seconds. With live lift selected and lift after 30 seconds, that means if my live filter catches a feedback, after 30 seconds, it stops looking at that frequency and becomes open to catch another feedback. That's basically what happens. So if, for example, all my fixed feedback frequencies have been set, I just want to see if I can catch some extra, get some extra feedback so my live filters can catch a few. If I go up, good. So I've got my live filter. Just to show you guys that this thing works, if I keep my mic very close and attempt to switch off the feedback suppressor, I've got feedback. If I switch it back on, the feedback disappears, to show that it actually catches the feedback that occurs when I switched it off, on, and catches the feedback. So it actually does what I want and gives me a little bit of more gain before feedback. So as you can see, 30 seconds has passed and all of my live filters that were initially captured, they've all disappeared and cleared. That's basically what the live lift does. You can keep your live lift for even longer, sometimes up to 10 minutes or 5 minutes or 1 minute, depending on the kind of event you are and how often the your talent or your performer gets feedback depending on how they use the microphone. If your venue is very problematic and all of your feedback comes from fundamental frequencies, or you don't move microphones around, you can have all 12 filters to be fixed, and you captured all 12 fundamental feedback frequencies and nothing is being moved around, so you don't care about live filters. And yeah, you can play around with this how you want. You can make all of your filters live, because maybe speakers and microphones have been moved around during performance a lot. Whatever you want, you can actually work with them like this. And this is how you use AFS in your events. It's a very powerful tool, and one I recommend, especially for small events or small churches or small room events. That's it for this video. In the next video, we're going to look at how to use the auto EQ feature with the RTA microphone inputs in the DBX Driverack PA2. If you want more, or you want to reach out to me personally for questions or consultations or one-on-one sessions, I've got a link to my email and to my website in the description, and check it out. Thank you for sticking around till the end of this one. I'm Kelvin. I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.